I have to start right off the bat. You have written on everything, absolutely everything I could possibly think of. A book on women, it's there. A book on apologetics, it's there. A book on John, which I think might be one of your favorites. How do you write so much and not be 300 years old? A Methuselah type time span. Are you Methuselah? That's my first question.
Well, I've always had multiple interests, and I get bored if I just work on the same subject for too long. Same with my teaching. I'd like to mix things up and to teach different courses. And I guess in terms of writing, I not many people know that, but I studied concert piano when I was in middle school and high school, and so I went to the Vienna Academy of Music and Fine Arts, and I would practice the piano for like 2 to 3 hours an afternoon while my friends were just kind of goofing off, not, in the afternoon. So I developed a discipline of kind of rigorous practice. And that's actually, I think, served me well. I don't play the piano nearly as much anymore now, but I feel like I've kind of transferred, some of the routines to writing. And I think I love even studying the habits of writers. I've read books about, how other people write routines. I just recently had the thrill of standing in the room where Ernest Hemingway down at Key West wrote some of his works, I think in the 1930s. And I'm just intrigued by how writers go about their work, because it's so highly creative. And so you just really have to be in some sort of a groove, and at the same time, you do need discipline. People sometimes don't realize even just writing one book, it is a ton of work. Yeah. And so you need both creativity, and you also need discipline. It's just kind of a bit of a tricky combination, but I think God's equipped me with a certain amount of creativity. I come from a very musical family. My sister is actually a violinist for the Vienna Symphony. So we got that kind of in our genes, and the kind of the creative gene, and then also I have a German mother who is very industrious, right? and very disciplined. So I blame it on my genes.
Well, you notice, I've noticed that several of your books are written with other people. So, yeah. Is that intentional, or why? What's going on there?
Hey, that's a great question. Very perceptive too. I think there's a couple things going on. One is I have a very healthy respect for my limitations. What I've been trained in, and also what I haven't been trained in, and it's kind of interesting because we might come back to that later when we talk about the multiple fields that Bart Ehrman is writing on, not all of which, I might add, he's actually formally trained in. Right. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm trying to stay away from writing for publication in areas that I really have no training in. So I'd rather find a collaborator. The other thing is that I sometimes like to work with really bright, promising students of mine. It's a win-win because they typically have a little more time and energy. And at the same time, I can kind of mentor them. It's, and maybe even give them a start in writing. And I think this book is a good example because Josh Chatraw was one of my students, did his PhD work under me, and is just a brilliant young man. So he's a joy to work with him, and of course with Darrell Bock, who's kind of the senior scholar.
Right. So you're more Einstein. Einstein had these big prolific things, but then went out on a sailboat and played the violin. So from a German background too. So gotcha. Understand.